So help me God.
Please
May all
be
be
seated.
seated, please. Mr. Witness, would like to, on behalf of the TRC, welcome you and extend our appreciation to you for agreeing to come to be a part of this process. The TRC Act mandates us to pay special attention to children because we all know that during the war, children and women suffer the most during the war, and they too have their story to tell. And so for that reason, we are supposed to give them special attention and provide a special space for them to also be able to come and tell us about their experiences. And so you agreeing to come to the TRC is good for us, and it also shows the commitment of the CPAs and all of the partners who take the interests of the children of Liberia to heart. So we say thank you for coming, and thank you for coming to share this experience with us. Present, I will introduce you to the commissioner who is present, including myself, and then you can go ahead with your presentation. On my immediate left is Commissioner Umu Sila. She's the oversight for children, and then speaking is Commissioner Dede Tolepe, the vice chair. As you do your presentation, maybe the other commissioners will come in, and then we'll introduce them as they come in. So you are welcome, and the floor is yours. You can either sit or use the stand, whichever you feel comfortable with to make your presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Honorable commissioners present, members of the UN family, Child Protection Agency representatives present, our dear children, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm honored to have been invited to make a presentation today on the topic Child Justice System in Liberia. I represent Don Bosco Homes, and Don Bosco Homes is a child protection agency, a lead child protection agency in Liberia, and also we are privileged to be the chair of the CPA task force on the TRC. I will begin by thanking the Almighty God who has made it possible for all of us to be present today. And I say, if only we value our children, we will fully participate in activities that will promote their well-being. We will begin this presentation by defining who a child is. We look around and see our children. A child is any human being below the age of 18 years old. And when it comes to our topic, child justice system in Liberia, we look at the issue of child justice. And we say the Liberian child has over the years, especially in recent years, been in most instances routinely subjected to acts of abuse, mistreatment, and denied basic care services. Liberian children were recruited to serve as child soldiers, during which they were active combatants, porters, spies, sex slaves, and drug pushers. In other instances, children have worked for adults and companies in conditions that are highly indistinguishable from child labor. More than that, Liberian children have been severely beaten, denied free expression and participation in making decisions that directly affect them. Decisions such as even choosing the school that they want to attend. And Liberian children have been arbitrarily detained and placed in cells with other criminals and in appalling conditions devoid of any correctional facilities. Many of our children have suffered inhumane conditions and treated with cruelty, even for minor offenses like stealing $5 Liberian. But let's be careful here. We are not condoning stealing. Saying this, we do not mean that we are condoning stealing. Let's understand that. This, however, no, for the most part, children have not had advocates. We have other child protection agencies working, but there are few working on their behalf in the social, economic, and political sphere of Liberia, thus exposing them to undue injustice. This presentation today focuses primarily on child justice and family, its attendant tenets of development, and we recommend as to what can be done to improve the situation of our children and correct inadequacies that have lingered around for 161 years of our nationhood. Child protection agencies have long been involved in the difficult task of reaching out to the Liberian child. To date, child protection agencies are key partners and collaborators and are in the same boat to protect the interests and welfare of the child. The work of one child protection agency is often complemented by the role of the other agency. There is a commonality of endeavor toward one goal, that is, helping the Liberian child attain his or her full potential for responsible citizenship. Today, Don Bosco Home is the chair of the task force on children, appearing before the TRC. This duty we are honored to undertake. We do this and other work with and through the valuable contribution of local and international partners, especially the Salesians of Don Bosco of the Catholic Church in Liberia, the Sean Dever Children's Fund, UK, Trocare of Ireland, CAFOD UK, Comic Relief, and UNICEF Liberia, among other important friends. To all of you, we are grateful. Funding from Sean Dever Children's Fund. Sean was a volunteer who worked in Liberia. He worked with the UN, and he distributed food to children in rural Liberia, but he was killed in Somalia. In fact, our appearance here today and the presentation we are now making were largely made possible through the intervention and contribution of these partners. What do we consider as child justice? In our own opinion, we have no single and particular definition, but we consider child justice as giving and according to the child all the support and good things that the child needs in order to grow up and become a responsible citizen, actively contributing to the development of society. That's what we consider child justice. In short, child justice is the act of making available to the child that which is due him or her in terms of provisions of basic his or her proper growth and development. Now we try to look at important instruments dealing with children welfare. We have our Liberian Constitution, even though we know that it's not very clear, and we'll talk on that. We have the OAU, the African Charter, so we say the OAU Convention on the Rights and Responsibility of the Child, and the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC, that has been signed and rectified but not domesticated, as was said by the previous speaker. Looking at the Liberian Constitution, when it comes to the provision on the welfare rights, duties, and safety or protection of the Liberian child, we see that it is not clear and distinct. The Constitution, as it is written, is seemingly an instrument that is largely silent on or about the provision of care services, basic needs, and rights and responsibilities of the child. Looking at the fundamental rights under the Liberian Constitution, the Liberian child, though seemingly vulnerable, is grouped with adults as though they have the same potential and have attained equal developmental status. The Constitution reads thus, Article 11, all persons, and this refers to both adults and children, on equal footing. All persons are born equally free and independent and have certain natural, inherent, and inalienable rights, among which are the rights of enjoying and defending life and liberty, of pursuing and maintaining the security of the person, and of acquiring, possessing, and protecting property, subject to such qualifications as provided for in this, and maintain the security in this Constitution. Our question here to all of us is, how can a child defend life and liberty, pursue and maintain the security of the person, and acquire property? We are talking about a child. And we look at B under Article 11, all persons are equal before the law and are therefore entitled to the equal protection of the law. Again, the question that arises is this: are children treated equally under the law? The question is for all of us to reflect. Honorable member of the Commission, fellow Liberians, after laying this premise, the key question that comes to mind is this: to what extent we as Liberians, including government, including all of us here, members of the TRC, to what extent we as Liberians have advocated for greater provisions to be made in our Constitution for the welfare of our children? To what extent? While contemplating the answer to this question, let us give you a gist of the provisions of the African Charter on the rights and welfare of the child. This very charter was drawn up here in Monrovia in 1979 during the OAU convention that we hosted. The African member states of the Organization of African Unity, parties to this chapter, entitled African Charter on the Rights and Welfare of the Child. I quote, considering that the Charter of the Rights, the Charter of the Organization of the African Unity recognizes the importance of human rights, and the African Charter on Human and People's Rights proclaimed and agreed that everyone is entitled to all rights and freedoms